Hey y'all, my name is Cassie and I am the creator of Pieces of Scrap, and in today's video we are getting ready for a market this Saturday, the Peanut Festival. This will either be the third or fourth time that I'm doing this market. I can't believe I've been saying that for like a couple weeks now and I still haven't checked if it's actually the third or the fourth time, but I can't remember. My husband is showing me three fingers, so he thinks it's three, but we'll see. Anyway, I have a lot of stuff that I've been prepping this week because my $8 to $10 section, like my smaller plushies, is dwindling down really quickly and I only have like one or two of each item in that section. So I've been trying to make some things to replenish that section and have like multiples of each item as well. So starting off, I've been working on some mini Pokemon from Beck Made Studios pattern pack of her like little mini Pokemon. She has 3 or 4 different pattern packs now and they're all really awesome. So let me show you some of those that I've been prepping. So I made 2 of these little Charmanders. They're so cute and this pattern is actually completely no-sew, really awesome. I've also made 2 of these little Psyducks and also no-sew, and I am also working on an Eevee right now. I am also planning to make the rest of them, I think, and maybe 2 of each as well, just so that I can fill up my little wooden tiered shelf that I usually have on the lower, like the $10 section with Pokemon. I think that would be really cool to just have like a bunch of different Pokemon on that shelf and then just have like other little $10 things around it. And another thing I want to mention really quickly is that my Pokemon are no longer $10. I had an issue I ran into with my Excel spreadsheet where I had been pricing items wrong for, I actually don't know how long. The cell that was being referenced to price my items on like Square and things like that, so it was like factoring in 2 cents per card swipe, as well as like the 3 or 4% charge on each transaction. That was not being referenced in that pricing, so I was not charging enough for these plushies. So I've increased their price by $12, and that is just to accommodate for the other plushies in this range of patterns that Beck Made Studios is coming out with. And she has like some more complicated versions, so like she has all the Eevee evolutions now, and some of them take a little bit longer, and I just really want them all to be the same price just so that it's not confusing to people, so that's why I increased the price. Yesterday I also was prepping some Halloween themed plushies, so I made 3 of these little ghost in a pumpkin pattern. This is also a no-sew pattern that I reviewed in a Halloween free pattern review video. So if you want to check out my review on that, make sure you do. The highlights of that, if you want like the Spark Notes version, is that this pattern is like exactly how I would write a no-sew pattern myself for this kind of thing if I were to do it myself. So I thought that was really awesome. I had encountered a different pattern in that same video that was doing like a similar construction, but it was not no-sew, and I had given the tip of, if I were to do this no-sew, I would do it this way, and then I did this pattern, and that's the way that I said that I would do it earlier in the video. So I thought that was really cool, but I made 3 of these little guys. I'm not going to take all of these to the market. I also made an obligation to the bookstore that I usually supply plushies to, and I wanted to supply some Halloween themed things, so I think I'll give 1 or 2 of these to her store as well as the next thing that I made. So I also made a bunch of these little mini ghosts. This is another no-sew pattern, and this is actually part 1 of a spooky car hanger pattern test that I did for one of my followers, not last year, but the year before, I think. The creator's Bay Crochets, and I made 6 of these little ghosts. They're so cute, super great for markets. I think they only take about like 18 minutes to work up. So I'm gonna bring 3 of these with me, and I think I'll give 3 of them to the bookstore, maybe 2 of them. We'll see how many the bookstore owner wants to take from me. But yeah, super excited to have all these little mini ghosts. I think it'll look really good on the table for Halloween. As a side note, for the bookstore restock, I also sold 2 dragons. So I just recently finished making these 2. Here's Andarna, and I've also finished Taryn, and funny story, when I worked up Taryn, I did him first, and it turned out he was looking a little bit smaller than Andarna. And if you're familiar at all with the books, Andarna is like the smallest dragon ever. Like, you can't even ride her, she's so small. So I was like, I need to make Taryn again so that he is bigger than her. So I ended up working up Taryn with this larger hook, as well as I got this one batch of Premier Parfait Chunky Black, and it was just like not as soft and silky and nice. As you can see, maybe you can see a subtle difference between like the wings, spine, and body, and like all of the features of the body. That's because this is like typical for what you see with Premier Parfait Chunky. It's like a lot more velvety, soft, but the stuff that I got for the main body, all of those features of this version of Taryn, it's just like not as soft. It's almost like it got like heated up too hot or something at some point in the process, because it feels like it almost pilled or something. So I didn't end up sending that batch back just because I had ordered so much yarn, and I was like, fine, it's okay, I'll use it for something. So this is what I ended up using it for, is making this like extra large size Taryn, just so that it was bigger than Andarna this time. And then I have a few more things to show you guys. Recently, I just got back from a road trip to Iowa, and while I was sitting in the passenger seat and my husband was driving, I was crocheting some things that were pretty easy to make and just that I need for market. So one of those things is these No-Sew mini jellyfish by 1 Cent Crochet. I ended up making 3 of them on the road trip, and then I ran out of the size of safety eyes that I wanted to work with that I had packed with me. So I still have the right size here at home, but I ran out on the trip. So I only ended up making 3 little jellyfish, and I want to make some more before market as well, because these are really great sellers. I sell these at $15 each, and they do really, really well at markets. People really like all the cute little tentacles, and it's also a really great way to work up and use up your stray like scrap pieces of yarn. So those are really awesome. And then I also made some bandanas. Here's all the bandanas I made. I think I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 on the road trip, and then these ones I had already made, but I took them with me just so that I could have like a size reference, and I wasn't making them bigger than they were supposed to be made. So we've got like this sage green one. I've got a kind of darker like goblin green one, and then I've got this chocolate brown and this mauve color, I suppose, and then I made a red. And then the ones that I already had, I think I have shown before in a vlog, but I don't think it's going to be out by the time you guys see this. But I made this one's like a top. I'm actually not sure how you're supposed to say that word, taupe, but top with a white border, because I ran out of the main color when I got to the border. And then I've got this light pink one and this pumpkin orange one. So what was that, 8 total bandanas that I need to still price, but I think they're going to be a reasonable enough price. And I have also been receiving requests for bandanas at market, so I have them finally. So yeah, we have a lot of things that I've been prepping, and I still want to do a lot more before this Saturday. It's currently Wednesday. Yesterday I got done all of those ghosts, all of the ghosts and pumpkins, and the Charmanders and Psyducks, so that was a lot done in a single day. I'm pretty sure I could probably get that much done, or a little bit more today, just because yesterday I was working on some like reels and shorts and stuff like that before I got off work for the day. But I'm pretty sure I can make quite a bit today as well, so hopefully tomorrow I'll have an update for you guys on what little Pokemon I made. I can show off more of those Beck Made Studio patterns, because they are so awesome and I love them so much. But anyway, before I get into a little bit of crochet content of just like crocheting with me doing some time lapses, I wanted to mention to you guys that I am going to be doing a giveaway starting today on my Instagram. So make sure you head over there if you want to read the terms and like conditions, the details, what you can win. Two of the things that you can win, or two different people can win a copy of this Mega Yummy Crochet book. It's got so many patterns in it and they're just like super awesome. I'll show you some of them really quick. There are patterns for like hamburger, hot dog, some different things in here. Lots of little sweet amigurumis, and they're like perfect size for like pillows and things like that. Great for kiddos. And there's also some smaller amigurumi makes in here that are like cakes, shortcakes, cupcakes, different things like that. There are so many patterns in here, 26 patterns, and the patterns are really detailed and awesome. There's stitch charts if you prefer stitch charts, things like that. And I can't wait to make some of the patterns that are in here, but I need to stock up on some of my worsted weight yarns so that I have like enough colors of each of them. But anyway, I'm doing a giveaway with Zaka Workshop, which is the publisher of this book. They're going to give away 2 copies of this book, and then also in the giveaway, I'm going to give away some patterns, maybe some safety eyes as well. So definitely head over to Instagram and check it out if you are interested in trying to enter that giveaway. And anyway, let's go ahead and get started crocheting some stuff for market. Hey guys, so it has been 2 days since I last saw you. I did a lot of prepping. I made a whole lot of little mini Pokemon, and I want to show all of them to you because the majority of these, nearly all of them except for the ones that I showed you the last time I checked in with you guys, are very new to me, haven't made them before, and they're all the Eevee evolutions. There's a dragon pattern that I made into like different colored Charizards, and then there were also some like basic Pokemon like Bellossom, Chikorita. I'm trying to think if there were any others, like Mew I had made before. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is there are a lot of Pokemon I need to show you right now. So starting off with Vaporeon. Look at how cute he is. I love all the little details. Super easy to make. This pattern does have a little bit of sewing on it, which is a little bit surprising because most of these do not require any sewing at all. The only things you have to sew on here are the little head fins, and I think that's it. Everything else is just crocheted into the body. You do have to crochet little pieces separate, but most of it is just like you crochet it into the round, which makes it really easy to attach and make it look really good. So yeah, there's the Vaporeon. I also made Flareon, and I really wish I had a yellow fluffy yarn to really make this look a little bit cuter, but I still really like how Flareon looks, and I really like the blue safety eyes on this one. I feel like it really pops on the orange body color. Then to finish that trio, we've got Jolteon. Again, this one and Flareon are both completely no-sew. Everything's just crocheted into the body itself in terms of like all the extra little details on the side of the face, top of the face, Jolteon's little tail fluff, and the collar. All of that is crocheted directly into the body, which makes these very quick to make. I think this one and Flareon both take under 20 minutes to make, which is really awesome. Next up I have Umbreon, which personally has always been my favorite Eevee evolution. I think it's just because it's just like a dark version of the Pokemon, and you know, some lore about me in high school, I was really into Pokemon, I was really into like anime and things like that, and I actually had a Umbreon hoodie that had like little ears, and it had like the yellow circle on the hood, and it was just really cute. I really liked it a lot. It was like a fleece hoodie, but I don't have it anymore, otherwise I'd show it to you guys. But really cute. Love Umbreon. Love the pink safety eyes on this one to kind of, I know that Umbreon's eyes are actually like red, but I don't have any red, so pink was the closest thing to that. Then I've got Sylveon, and this is actually the first time I'm making Sylveon in like her actual colors. So I've made this pattern before, but it was for my Wheel of Amigurumi challenge, and I had to do it in very weird colors. They were like different shades of green. So it was nice to actually make this in like the actual colors that Sylveon is supposed to be in. This one is probably the highest sewing out of all of them, and it's still very low sew. Like you have to sew the bow to the ribbons and then that piece together to the head. Same with the second bow. Everything else is just crocheted into the body. So it's pretty minimal sewing. It's not a lot of sewing at all, but it does add a little bit time to the overall make of this one. So this one I think took a little under 30 minutes or a little over 30 minutes to make. Then I made Leafeon, and this one is so cute. I'm a sucker for mint green, so I will always appreciate a good like pastel color combination, and I think that's why I like Leafeon a lot. Leafeon is just a really cute Pokemon. This one as well is completely no-sew. Everything is just done directly into the body or crocheted in the round, and that is what makes this one a pretty quick make as well. Then we have Espeon, and what is really cool about this one is that the tail is posable because there's a pipe cleaner inside of the tail. So I sew it a little bit to the back of the body here just to secure it so it doesn't like flop over every time. But you put a pipe cleaner in it and you can like pose it however you want. It's really cool. Makes it kind of like a fidget friendly kind of toy as well. All of the extra bits on the face are crocheted directly into the body as well. So very, very low sew project. Actually, I think it's completely no sew. Yeah, the tail is completely no sew. You crochet it into the body. The only thing that you might consider sewing is if you prefer to like tack the tail onto the back of the body. That's kind of what I've done with all of these, just so that it doesn't flop over. But I don't really consider that like part of a sewing project because I'm just like positioning things on the body of these different Eevee evolutions. But yeah, there's Espeon. And then before we get away from all of the Eevee evolutions and I show you just like Eevee herself, I also have this Glaceon that I made when I did the pattern test for Glaceon. So here is that one. It's already tagged and I have it tagged for $12. That is what the price is going to be for all of these that I'm showing you, just because I want all of the mini Pokemon to be the same price. But yeah, cute little Glaceon, another completely no-sew project from what I remember. The little bangs here are just like crocheted into back loops only that are left open, or front loops only that are left open, and then as well the tail is obviously just crocheted in the round. So really cute little Glaceon. So then we obviously have Eevee, and here are my Eevees. I made this one initially, but then I didn't really appreciate just kind of the gapping I was getting using the hook size I was using with this Premier chenille medley that I got from the Dollar Tree. So I ended up making it in Premier Parfait Chunky just because it's a little bit weightier and it looks a little bit nicer. So yeah, that is what my Eevees look like. We have two different like colored furs here, but still really cute. And then I have 4 non-Eevee related Pokemon here. So we have Bellossom. This one is really cute. This one is low sew. The only things you have to sew on are these little flowers at the top of the head here, but the petals are just like crocheted into the round, and that is really the only other thing here. It's really cute, really like intricate looking small Pokemon, so I really like that one a lot. Then I've got Chikorita, really cute. I really like the big old leaf in the top here. The leaf you do have to sew into the head, but everything else is just done in the round. Obviously, these little mini bobble stitches, and then the leaf is just crocheted, and not crocheted, it's crocheted separately and then sewn into the head later, but still, I think this one takes under 20 minutes to make as well. Then we have Gengar, and this little teeth little embroidery I did over the tongue is something that I added. It's not like mentioned in the pattern, but I think it looks a little bit better with that little white strip there to show his teeth, because typically whenever I think of Gengar, I don't think of him sticking out his tongue. I know that it's fairly common that he does that, but I feel like recently whenever I see pictures of like new illustrations of Gengar, he doesn't have his tongue sticking out anymore. He's just like making a really big smile with like a teeth. And so that's why. But this one overall is a little bit different in terms of shape because it's more of like a ball. With the rest of these, you have decreases after the head and then you increase again so that you have like a really defined neck shape. But this one overall is just different in shape, but I still think it looks really unique and it's really cute. Then I had to make a Mew because I had one originally and I sold it. So I ended up making Mew. This is another one with a posable tail because of the pipe cleaner that is inside the tail, so that's really cute and cool about this one. And then the last thing I want to show you is I made some mini Charizards. So we have, I think this is Charizard X. It's like a blue and black version of Charizard, and then we have like the original Charizard as well. I kind of improvised the little tail flame on the end here just by crocheting directly into the top of the tail, and I just chained 4 and then slip stitch back into the tail base itself to create these little flame little loops at the end of the tail, and I think they look really cute and it makes it a little bit more obvious that it's supposed to be Charizard in my opinion. But I really love this one. This one I don't think is as obvious that it's supposed to be Charizard. Some people probably don't or are not aware of like the different variants of Charizard, but I still thought it was a cool option. I wanted to have more than one, so there are my 2 Charizards. So as you can see behind me, that was a lot of Pokemon. I think there are over 20 of them total. I think maybe 20 total if you include the Glaceon, and then I have 5 or 6 left over in my inventory currently, which includes the Glaceon. That are already tagged. I have a Togepi, I have a Snorlax, I have 2 Squirtles, I have a Fanpea, and then I have a Bulbasaur. So I have 7 plus the Glaceon, so 8 total already in my inventory, and I'm adding 19 to my inventory. So that's really awesome. That should really fill up that tiered wooden shelf the way that I want it to, and have definitely a lot of room to like replace things as I need to. But anyway, I'm really excited. It is currently Thursday afternoon and market is on Saturday. So tomorrow the plan is to tag all of the inventory that I need to tag. I showed you a lot of the inventory I need to tag yesterday, but I also have all of my last free pattern review plushies to tag as well. So that's, let's see, 3 times 12. Y'all, I for real had to just step away to calculate what 12 times 3 was because I couldn't do math in my head. I was gonna say it's 48, but it's actually 36. So I have 36 plushies in that tote next to me from my FPR video, my last FPR video, plus all of those ghosts I showed you earlier, the jellyfish, those bandanas, and of course all 19 of the Pokemon plushies behind me. And then on top of that, I wanted to make some more jellyfish, so that's what I'm gonna work on tonight before my husband comes in. He's currently mowing our lawn, and then I'll make dinner. But before we do that, I'm going to work on making some of those little jellyfish just to have a little bit more variety. Right now I have 2 pink ones and a blue one, and I think it'd be nice to just have like more color variety there. So I'm going to work on that tonight, and I will check in with you guys tomorrow when I'm tagging everything. Hey y'all, so it is Friday afternoon. I just finished pulling out all of my displays, tables, tent, all of that. I tagged all my inventory today, got all my inventory packed up and picked what I'm bringing. I'm not bringing hats to this market just because in the area where I'm selling, it's still been in like the upper 80s. Really hasn't even cooled off yet here in East Texas. So I'm not gonna bring any hats, just bags. I also just finished taking apart my wire cube shelves just so that I'm thinking that I'll set it up the way I set up last year, where I have like a row of cube shelves, just one row of cube shelves on the table, and then on top of that I have a wall where I can hang the bags like I've done at past events. I haven't done that since I think Christmas and Crocket last year, just because it's a huge pain to set up. It takes a really long time. But the main reason I want to bring it is just so that we have a little bit more structure in my tent, because unfortunately tomorrow there's a 35 to 70% chance or coverage of a thunderstorm and just rain overall from 11 a.m. until probably about 5 p.m. tomorrow. So almost the entire event tomorrow. And if you watched my last market recap video, not my last one, the one before that. So the 4th of July event I did this year had a storm roll in out of nowhere. It wasn't forecasted, and it about blew my tent over, and it was just really rough. So it's nice to know ahead of time that it's gonna rain and possibly storm, but at the same time it's just like really stressful to try to prepare for that. So my tent walls are, I think, 12 by 12, and my tent is 10 by 10, which I don't know why I didn't order new tent walls immediately following that event, but I didn't. So we're kind of scrambling right now to find a solution to like securing those tent walls a little bit better. I think we have clamps somewhere. We're gonna get them. We just gotta figure out where they are. Because last time the plan was like to get things like that ahead of time just in case something happened. But we forgot to get clamps and all sorts of things on the way out of the house because it wasn't just like something I packed. So yeah, little bit stressed to say the least. But everything's tagged, everything's priced. I've updated my inventory. I have my reconciliation paper printed out with all the new inventory and new prices on there. And yeah, I'm just a little stressed out, just a little bit. And I'm hoping and praying that the storm isn't super bad. Because that was a real roller coaster last time, having such a bad storm come in out of nowhere. And then another thing to consider is that every time I've come to the Peanut Festival, it's been like super dusty. So dust obviously turns into mud when it gets wet. So I think we're gonna have to set up the tent over a tarp and then put the rug down, just so that it kind of helps with any water that might collect and just keep things from getting muddy. So anyway, I'm going to finish getting things together for tomorrow. I have to adjust my signage, I think, real quick before I pack up for tomorrow, because some of the prices for different things changed, and I want to make a sign for like the mini Pokemon area, and then I want to also make a sign, update the sign for the keychains, I think, just so that the range of prices is a little bit more accurate, I think. But who knows? Yeah, I'm trying to make sure everything is ready for tomorrow because I feel like I always forget something, whether it be something really little or really small. I have my cash box behind me and I need to make sure that my square is updated for like the amount of cash that I'm starting with. And I just need to make sure I have everything ready for tomorrow. I don't know why, but I haven't been this stressed out about an event in a while. And I think it's mostly like I was excited and I was feeling good about it, and then my husband told me about the storm and now I'm like really nervous. So yeah, anyway, I will check in with you guys later when I have an update. Maybe I will check in with you guys tomorrow. We'll see. Hey y'all, so it is now Wednesday. The market was on Saturday, so it's been a handful of days since I've last spoken to y'all, but the market is over and it was a success. I just want to talk about the whole experience a little before I get into the best sellers, losses, as well as the overall money that I made at this market. I just want to talk about the experience a little because as you heard earlier in the video, I was a little bit nervous almost out of nowhere the day before the market because the weather that was forecasted looked really grim. It looked like it was going to be stormy all day. Turns out it only rained for maybe like 20 to 30 minutes. We were really lucky and blessed because we kept checking the forecast throughout the day and the rain and storms kept getting pushed back later and later in the day. And what actually ended up happening was we were a little bit worried about the storms, so we ended up packing up and leaving about an hour before the event was scheduled to like close for the vendors. And I'm happy that we did, but I'm also a little bit disappointed because I was suspecting that it was going to storm again. My husband, he was walking back and forth from the car, just putting some things away kind of slowly in case it was going to storm again. And he noticed some lightning in the horizon, but it didn't actually end up storming again within the time that we started packing up. Because of the 20 to 30 minute rain slot that we did encounter and we didn't have the tent walls up ahead of time, some of my crochet kits and mystery boxes, the boxes themselves got really wet and they kind of got splashed on, so there's like some dirt and mud that I'm gonna have to either repackage some of those or I'm gonna have to just clean the boxes and make sure they dry fully. I haven't actually opened any of those boxes up to make sure that the things inside aren't damaged in any way, but I have put them in our guest room with the fan on to dry, and they seem like they're very dry now. So in the coming days and weeks, I'm going to be going through the different mystery boxes and crochet kits just to ensure that nothing got damaged on the inside before I determine whether or not I'm going to repackage those things. But I did want to talk about that just before we get into like the different insights about this event because those things can be very stressful. So today I'm going to start with my best sellers, and I always like to do it from the bottom of the tier ranking up just because I feel like that's a little bit more suspenseful. So starting in the 4th place category, I had a lot of items that were just like tied. So I just wanted to talk about some of those. Starting off with, I sold 2 of all of these things. The Animal Buddies, that's a pattern pack that has like a bunch of different variants of the same pattern. And I sold 2 of those. One of them was an elephant and one of them was a koala. I also sold 2 chubby froggies, which I wanted to mention because I recently increased the price just because it felt like it made sense to. I had them priced at $8, but a lot of the things in my $8 section are much smaller than the chubby froggies, so I ended up just increasing them to be the $10 range just because a lot of the things in the $10 range are like more comparable to the size of product that you get for that amount of money. So that's why I increased them to $10 instead of $8, and I ended up selling 2 of them, so that shows me that that price increase didn't really affect sales. Next up, I also sold 2 emotional support veggies, and this is something I need to restock. I actually only have like the less desirable colors left and the less desirable vegetables, so I have like 1 or 2 mushrooms and they both have green caps, which I don't think attract as many people. And then all of the root veggies that I have are either white or yellow, and I think more people are looking for like the orange or purple or like radish color root veggies. I also need to restock some broccoli and some corn because I'm completely sold out of those, and those usually go first out of all of them. So those are things I'm keeping in mind before next market. I also sold 2 of the K-pop magpie patterns that I made in my 28th episode of the FPR series. So if you haven't watched that, go ahead and watch it. each of those, I have 3 total, had 3 total, sold 2 of them. They were all different patterns because in that video I tested like 4 different K-pop magpie patterns, and I just priced them all the same because they were pretty similar in terms of materials and time, and I didn't want to price like every single magpie a slightly different price, so that's why they were all just priced at $20, and they were selling really well. That's also something I noticed about just K-pop Demon Slayer things in general. They were selling really quickly. I had a large derpy tiger that sold. I also sold a roomie, and they were just getting a lot of attention. Everybody recognized them. I also saw a lot of kiddos come in with like K-pop Demon Hunters merch too, so that shows me that it's still really popular and I should still stock up on those things. The other things that sold too were the mini chickens, which I'm almost out of. That's on my market prep list for next market. My mini turtles, and this spanned across like different patterns as well. Turtles were really popular this market. I sold a swinging turtle. I sold little mini turtles, 2 of them, so I'm completely sold out of those. And then I had a separate mini turtle pattern called Tilly the Tiny Turtle, which is actually a no-sew pattern that I'm kind of transitioning to only making that type of mini turtle. Those are all sold out, and I also had a lot of attention over like my sea turtles, as well as the no-sew splooting animal turtle from Crochet by Jenna, her pattern book. So that one sold, as well as a lot of other turtles. So turtles were really popular at this market. And also I sold 2 of the splooting animals in general from Crochet by Jenna's pattern book as well. I believe it was the Triceratops, and I think it was the fox, but I will double check and make sure that's correct on screen for you guys. But yeah, overall, lots of different products being sold, lots of varieties. So that also shows me that people aren't just like interested in one specific thing. So that's really awesome. So moving on from place number 4, I have a tie for 3rd place, which I want to start out with giving like a little bit of an honorable mention again to just capybaras in general, because people came to my booth specifically asking if I had capybaras, and I would like point them out and then they would buy them right on the spot, and they would buy multiple. One of those patterns being the capybaras and hats pattern, which is like an interchangeable pattern. There's strawberry hats and backpacks, frog hats and backpacks, and of course you could just make any color if you want to have just like different options as well. And the pattern itself for the capybara is no-sew, but like the backpack and accessories, basically there's a tiny bit of sewing involved, but it's a really good pattern that I suggest you guys try out. I actually tested it in my FPR number 27, I think. So I'm going to end up making some of those before my next market as well, because they did extremely well. Like people completely fell in love with them when they saw them, and they didn't like look around anymore after spotting those. I also made a mini capybara from Crochet by Jenna's pattern book as well that sold right away too. So there are 2 other things that are tied in 3rd place that I actually have a physical representation of. So that's the first thing that we're going to see on the shelf behind me. It's starting off with Lovies and Mabel chickens. So Lovies, I noticed specifically that a lot of the Lovies that I have currently aren't like as popular as the ones that typically sell. The ones that I ended up selling were the elephant, dinosaur, and the hippo. But I have 3 Lovies that I'm going to display behind me just so you get a representation of what is in 3rd place. Then obviously I already mentioned that Mabel chickens are also tied in 3rd place. The ones that I noticed were selling more are actually not like the special looking ones like any of these. I typically, when I make Mabel chickens, try to find some like autumn colors that are like variated like any of these, but the ones that were selling were mostly just white chickens and like off-white chickens. So that's something I'm going to have to prep more of because I'm completely out of them now. Next up in 2nd place, we didn't have a tie. We just have a single ranking product in that tier this time, which is nice to see that much of a division between different ranks. But next up was the chicken keychain pattern, which is no surprise to anyone, I'm sure, if you've watched my last handful of market prep and recap videos. So I sold 6 of these little chicken keychains total. So here's the different, like a handful of variety of the keychains that I have in stock now. I still have around 20 of them, I think, so I'm not going to need to prep before next market, but I've been using scrap yarn to make like scrap keychain chickens, which I don't know if any of them have sold yet, but I'm optimistic that somebody's going to like them a lot. Actually, in this market, I remember somebody saying that the chicken keychains that are scrap yarn kind of look psychedelic, which I guess is one way to look at it. But yes, these are still doing really well. I charge $5 each for these keychains, and they take me about 10 to 12 minutes to make. So really good payoff for this product. All right, so next up in first place was the mini Pokemon series of products that I sell, which I've recently expanded to include like Eevee evolutions, as well as some of the other like non-starter Pokemon that are pretty popular. So I've added like Bellossom, and we've got Chikorita. There's also Gengar, and I had 2 Charizards as well. And obviously I also had like all of the starters. I had 2 Charmanders, which both sold. I had 2 Squirtles available. I have a Bulbasaur. It's currently on the floor and I don't want to duck down. But I also have like Togepi, Snorlax, and I had 1 of every single one of the Eevee evolutions and 2 of the basic Eevees. I only have 1 left of the Eevee. I also have a Mew, but basically I prepped, I think I had like 24 or 25 mini Pokemon total, and that includes like the mini Charizards as well. I consider those kind of like the mini Pokemon category. So if we include the mini Charizards, which is like a different item in my inventory list from the mini Pokemon because it's kind of a different orientation, I sold 9 mini Pokemon and 2 mini Charizards, so 11 total mini Pokemon, which is really cool. They're all really similar pattern by the same creator, so I kind of lumped them in together and priced them all the same at $12 each, and they did really, really well. The ones that sold were Fanpy, Sylveon, Umbreon, Eevee, 2 Charmanders, 2 Psyduck, and a Jolteon, as well as both Charizards. So yeah, there are all my best sellers behind me. It's really encouraging to see something like come so starkly out of all of the other products that I sell as being sold like so many, because normally I see a lot of one-off sales of individual items, or I have like a couple items that sell 2 or 3 of. But this market was definitely different, and it was a huge contrast to see not just like chicken keychains standing out, but something else that I prepped a lot of and put a lot of energy into making like a bunch of variety in one specific product line. What's also really awesome about this market is I had no losses. I was a little worried throughout the reconciliation process just because I would have something that I didn't like write down as a sale or things like that, where I just like missed it in the process of just recording transactions. But I was able to double check and triple check myself this time, because what we started doing different at this market is every single product we were attempting to at least cut off the tags, just so that we can have another way of like triple checking if I actually sold something. And that is one of the reasons that I was able to catch a purchase, a transaction that I completely didn't even record in Square or in my Excel sheet, and that helped me figure out that something did not get stolen, which was really awesome. So make sure you're recording transactions multiple ways, because that gives you a backup if you run into any issues like that. All right, so in terms of the numbers behind today's event, my gross sales were $1,275, and from that I had to pay taxes on the sales that I made. That was $105.88. And then the card fees for the transactions that went through Square is $22.90. My booth fee for the event was $85, and then the cost of materials for the things that sold was $111.49, which makes the net sales for the event $949.73. So that is a really good indicator that this was a good market. Compared to previous years, this is about average of what I typically do at this event. I am sure that like the rain probably sent a few customers home a little earlier than they typically would have gone home, and possibly contributes to like a little bit less sales than normal, but 20 or 30 minutes of rain I don't see making like a huge dent in the overall sales of the event. So that was a really awesome event, and I think I did really well at it. In terms of different sale types, I typically offer everything except for PayPal as a way that you can make a payment. So I take cash payment, card payment, Cash App, Zelle, Venmo, all of those things. And actually at this event, I didn't get any Venmo or Zelle sales, but I did get one Cash App sale, contributing 1% to the total percentage of our pie chart when we're looking at the different payment types. Cash sales were actually surprisingly low compared to normal. Normally it's the vast majority of sales at this event, but this year it was only 45%, and square sales increased. Typically it's below half of the sales, but this year it was 54%. So that was a little bit of a difference between previous years at this same event. But it's really interesting to keep track of that and see how people are paying, just to make sure I have enough change for making change for people if cash sales is increasing, and I see that trending throughout the year. So it's really cool to keep track of those numbers. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I definitely did. I enjoyed getting back into market prepping because I feel like for a while I haven't really had to market prep just because I've been creating things all year for YouTube videos, so I had a lot of backup items. But I finally got around to prepping smaller things because I was running low on those, and I'm gonna have to get in the swing of prepping more before my Christmas and Crocket market in this November. It's on November 22nd. So before that market, I have a whole list of items that I want to prep, and I've already knocked out 3 of them, being bear keychains, bee keychains, and mini bees that I've been working on this week. But I have a whole bunch of other things that I want to prep before next market, just so that I have enough of like the things that are in demand right now. So some of those things are like mini chickens I'm running low on. I definitely want more mini Pokemon, specifically more Charizards. I think those were super popular and didn't stick around within like the first 3 hours. I think they were gone. I want to make a giant Anchor the Octopus to put on top of my tent. I think that'll be really cool. My husband actually suggested that, so everybody comment down below, great idea, Noah, because it is really a great idea. I also want to make some more mini turtles, specifically the Tilly the Tiny Turtle pattern, which is a free pattern on Instagram. I also want to make some more no-sew turtles from Crochet by Jenna's pattern book. That did really well this market, and turtles seem to be really popular right now, so I want to offer a variety of different sizes and prices. I also want to make more keychains in general, hence the bee keychains and bear keychains. I was completely out of those by this market, so I need more of those, as well as like mushroom popper keychains, dino keychains, all fruit friends keychains, and different things like that. I think those will do very well at markets in the future. And then there's just a handful of other small things that I'll be prepping for future markets, just because I need more variety in that smaller price section, because that is where I get my most sales typically. So anyway, that is what I'll be working on. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, leave a thumbs up, comment down below what your favorite part of this video was, and maybe what you're working on as well. I always love to see comments like that, and I will see you guys next Tuesday. I've been doing live streams every Tuesday, so if you're missing a video and you want to just interact with me a little bit, you can tune in on Tuesday at 11:30 Central Time, and I'll be there to hang out and crochet with you guys for a bit. So I will see you guys next Tuesday. Bye!